Hey, David, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Jason. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. So tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is David. I have an agency called Head Over Heels. What we do is really help brands and consumers fall in love with each other and stay in love with each other. And that's what the brand's about. At its essence, I believe in brands. I love to learn about brands, to explore the DNA of a brand, and to bring it to life with big ideas that connect with consumers in a way that drives conversation and turns consumers into advocates.
Well, let's talk about a brand because I think a lot of people get a brand incorrect, or maybe they think about it wrong. Or do you agree? Do you think everybody gets what brand is?
No, for sure not.
What are the common mistakes?
I see a lot of mistakes in this day and age in short form media that doesn't really tell the story about the brand, that doesn't really bring it to life. I love storytelling. I think a brand that tells their story in a way that's very transparent and connective to people, that brings them into a story that they can add to. And the conversation becomes two-way or three-way or a thousand ways.
Yeah, I feel a lot of agencies struggle with that of telling the right story in the right medium as well. So, for the people listening, because you've been doing it for a long time and with some of the, the biggest brands out there, what are some things we can do in order to brand our agency better?
To be original, to really take the time to understand what your brand is about, who you want to talk to, and the way that you want to talk to them. There's just too many copycats. It's become a very formulaic formula. We create the short form media. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, and there's no reason for being. There's no time that's really spent in understanding who you are, who you want to talk to, and how do you want to talk to them, and where is the right place to talk to them.
Mhm.
Instead, TikTok comes out, oh, we got to be on TikTok. But that may not even be our consumer. And the conversation that we want to have on TikTok may be irrelevant. It may be not. But really spending that time up front to understand that and really think about your brand and what you want to be and the product. At the end of the day, it's all about the product. You can have the best conversation in the world, you can do the best marketing, but if your product is also formulaic and not original, then that becomes an issue as well.
Yeah. Well, let's just assume, and let's use me as an example, just so people can kind of really kind of put themselves in understanding this. Right. So our goal and our vision is to be a resource I wish I had when I was running my first agency, and to create resources and community and systems for agency owners where they're able to scale faster, but also scale smart, where they have more time, freedom, more profit, so they can do what they want. What would you suggest, or how would you look at building our brand?
Well, I think I'd ask you first, what are your real challenges right now? What's keeping you from becoming what you want to be? What are those challenges? What are those issues? And to try to understand that. The brand that you have today, how does it differ between the brand that you want it to be? And those are the questions that I would start asking before I could give you a real
Yep.
answer.
And so I always feel that most people struggle with leads or lead generation or awareness, like reaching more people. And then to answer your question about where's the brand today and where do we want it, it's a great question, because I think when I look at our brand and our business, we're already kind of at the top of a lot of people's lists, but for, agency resources, but there's still a lot of people that have never heard of us, which gets me real excited, right? Like there's still tons of opportunity. And so is it building the brand to like a Gary V portion, right? Like we all know Gary Vaynerchuk and what he's done in social and that kind of stuff. But do we want to post that much or put out our life that much? Probably not. So probably in the middle, if that's an answer. And that's a great question for everyone to ask, because people say, I just want to grow my business, but where do we want to grow it to?
Right. To answer that, I would be the best Jason you could be, not the best Gary, not the best
Right.
anybody. I'd be original. You're already on that way, the way you story tell, the
Mhm.
podcasts that you have, having conversations with people like me that really are about understanding branding. And it's a great discussion. I think, from some of the emails that I get from you, it's storytelling, it's talking naturally. How often do you want to talk? I don't know. How often do you want to talk?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And I also tell people too, I'm like, they always know the emails that I write and ChatGPT didn't write it because there's grammar in there. There's bad
Right.
grammar. They're like, yeah, that dummy Jason, he wrote that one.
Right.
We can kind of tell on that.
I
Let's
think
talk.
ChatGPT is a good assistant.
It is a good assistant. But what about, let's talk about ideas and coming up
Okay.
with really knowing which ideas are the right one. Let's walk through that.
Well, let me give you a case study then.
Yep, go for it.
So I'm in Paris and I'm with the Sarah Jessica Parker team, the fragrance team in Paris, and they're showing me a commercial. And it's very Sex in the City. Sarah is late at night in front of a store in Place Vendôme and very upscale, a lot of jewelry, watches. And there's this fragrance bottle and it's in the window and she has to have it. And she kicks through the window and the glass breaks. The police come and arrest her and take her away to a French prison and put her in jail. And I'm sitting here in this meeting in Paris and looking at the commercial, and, we're just going through it. And I just blurted out, the bottle goes missing. And someone took it. We don't know who. Sarah didn't do it. She didn't have time. And we created a cast of characters. And they went on social media, the publicist, and said, Sarah didn't do it. She had to have it, but she didn't do it. She didn't take it. Help free Sarah, get her out of her French prison. And every week we would give out a brand new dossier to all the consumers that were signing up to become a private detective. And we were telling the story in a myriad of ways, in so many different ways. And halfway through, we extradited her from her French prison. We brought her to New York. We put her behind bars in Macy's Herald Square, where she signed bottles. We created our own newspaper, and the lead story was Free Sarah Jessica Parker Now. And we had a flash mob there, and we had a riot, and people demanding for her to be free from prison. And ultimately, we also partnered with Lucky Magazine. If you remember that magazine, we put clues inside in the sticker section, and ultimately, someone who won a $10,000 shopping spree with Sarah, paid for it by Lucky Magazine. And that was the case of the coveted bottle. And it got tremendous PR. Do women game? We found out absolutely they do. And they were involved in the game. There were so many different posts, even in gaming magazines. And it just took off. We became the number 2 brand at Macy's.
Hey, agency owners, if you're sticking with one platform for every project, you're probably stuck in a growth bottleneck. More clients means more hires, which adds noise and cuts into profits. To break the loop, you need a more flexible tool that doesn't stretch your resources. Now, Wix Studio is a smart addition to your agency's toolkit. Intuitive by design, your team can quickly master the platform and focus on the work that matters the most. Now, with robust native business solutions like booking, e-com, and events, you can take on any project at any scale without adding cost to third-party plugins. Plus, Wix Studio is a low maintenance platform, meaning you can redirect client budget toward real growth initiatives. Think more value for your clients, steady income stream, and stronger relationships. Scale your agency at wixstudio.com. So how did that idea, I know how it kind of started, but how did you kind of build on that to make sure it was a good idea?
Well, I think that's the part where teamwork happens. Every single group presenting the idea, sharing it with them, with people in media, we had PR, we had people from the brand, we had just an assortment of different people. And the only rule was you can't say but. You have to build on the idea. And everybody came together and we built that idea. And it started with that kernel. It started with the video. It started with her as her Sex in the City character and kind of combining that. But the real formula was building it out as a team and working together and growing it. No bad ideas, no buts, just build.
So let me tell you, I was listening to a story of how Netflix was founded. There's no such thing as a bad idea. Like when you get people in a room, you think there's no bad idea. And so I was watching this video about one of the co-founders of Netflix, and they were transitioning from one business to another, and they were trying to come up with their next thing before Netflix. And they were coming up with all these ideas. And his premise was every idea is a bad idea.
Okay.
Okay. Just follow me for a little bit because that's what I love about the podcast is like so many different ways to do different things. And maybe this idea will change your idea too. I don't know. But he was saying they would come up with all these ideas. And one of the ideas was the sending a VHS tape for everyone listening that is under or don't remember going to a Blockbuster store. VH tape was like this clunky big thing that wouldn't go in the mail. So they were like, well, that won't work. The mail is going to charge us a ton to send this VHS tape. So they put that on the back shelf. Then when they heard about DVDs coming out, they were like, well, maybe a DVD is small and it's thin. Can we put it in an envelope? And so their whole idea was disproving or proving that this bad idea was a good idea very fast. So you don't fall in love with a bad idea and then spend tons of time because he was on tons of committees where people come up with an idea, they would add to it and they would fall in love with their idea to the extent that it would kill all their time. It would kill their company. So they were like, well, let's prove this model. Let's put the DVD in the mail. Let's see how fast it gets it. So it literally got to them in a day. And they're like, holy cow, let's move on. So then he tells this next story, which kind of cemented it more, where he was working with college students. And one of the college students came up to him and said, hey, professor, I want to quit school and I want to raise money for this idea. I have all these unused clothes in my closet. And so does my friends. I want to rent those out to people that want to use these clothes that don't have the money to buy them. And where do I go to raise money? I'm going to quit school. They're like, hold up. He's like, do you have a piece of paper? And do you have tape? And do you have a pen? She's like, of course I do. I'm a college student. He's like, do you want to rent my clothes on your dorm room door? And if anybody knocks, then that's the first step to prove it. Well, no one knocked. It was a bad idea. So I just heard that maybe 2 weeks ago because I was like you. I was like, every idea is a good idea. And then I'm like, wait, you'll fall in love with it. And sometimes you go down the rabbit hole. So I don't know. What's your thoughts from that story?
Isn't that the thrift shops from today or the flea markets? It's basically you're buying somebody else's clothes.
Correct. But she wanted to do an app. Yeah, she wanted to
Right.
do an online app.
Yeah.
It's like,
So I think it's how you do it, how you execute it, how you bring it to life. I think every bad idea has a kernel of a good idea inside it if you spend some time with it. But
yeah.
somebody thought of the thrift shops. And
Yes.
that's one of the biggest trending ways to buy clothes today.
Oh, in college, I loved the thrift shops, especially for
Yeah.
all like the dress up costumes and all. I was like,
Right.
I loved it.
And young consumers, the Gen Z, is that's how they buy their clothes.
Yeah,
You know,
buy
so
more clothes from college. That's kind of scary.
so it's a bad idea gone good.
That's right. I like it. Well, cool. Well, this has been a lot of fun, David. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the agency owners listening in?
No, I think that about covered it. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to continuing the discussion and learning more about your brand and how can I help you.
Yep, definitely. Well, thanks so much, David, for coming on the show. We'll link everything on so you guys can go check out David. And if you guys enjoyed this episode and you want to be a part of a very intimate and very well known tribe that understands what you guys are going through and can see the things you might not be able to see and get you to the point a little bit quicker so you have more time freedom. We'd love to invite you guys to check out the mastermind. Go to agencymastery.io and click on the little scale button. We'll have a conversation. And until then, have a swank day.